Hey there, Elise here. Welcome to the SuperNova Astrology Update for May 4th through 11th, 2026. Well, we had a very powerful Scorpio full moon on May 1st, and we are still kind of in the energy of that. Just before that full moon, the sun in Taurus came into square with Pluto. And indeed, we've been feeling square after square of our personal planets. And just before that full moon, Mercury came into square with Jupiter. So the sun in square to Pluto was this challenge and this kind of facing the final chapter of our initiation as leaders of the Aquarian age, supernova souls. And so it's a facing of who we are. And Pluto rules our power, our relationship to our power, but not our raw power. That's Mars. Pluto is more of our psychic power. And so the sun is who we are, and it's kind of like, can you handle who you are? That's the question for supernova souls. And so we're on this journey, realizing that we've been talking so much about landing home, our optimal, ideal timeline, our new timeline, the Aquarian age. And it turns out that that is one and the same or directly linked to landing home, who we really are. From the very beginning of this whole story of being supernova soul, that as it came through, one of the very first messages is that there's a way bigger part of us. We've only been able to incarnate a small amount of our full potential. And at some point, we're going to be landing this home. And so seems to be the message that's coming through from Mother Earth, that our timeline's landing home, anchoring in, and that means we have to come home and anchor in. So we have to face everything that's in the way of coming into our power. And that was kind of the energy of Sun square Pluto, a frightening look at the truth of the greater potential in the human soul, and especially the advanced human soul that's had advanced lifetimes using and working with advanced technologies. That's pretty much the definition of a supernova soul. So we're embarking on this chapter. We got that when Mars and Mercury and Saturn all came together at 7 degrees of Aries, that we had this kind of anchoring in, locking in, this kind of like, okay, we're landing. Now, it seems like since that conjunction, we have been then we moved into the Scorpio full moon, and we have been feeling the energy of, okay, so the ramifications of what it might mean to align with our optimal ideal timeline, because it means landing home as who we really are, facing and overcoming those fears. So I guess this is a lot of what has to do with the main epic square we've been feeling all the way since October. And this is Jupiter in square to Chiron. They come into their third and final square in the first week of July. And so we're on this crazy journey in our evolution in this Jupiter square Chiron of squares are always like this energy of you can't go this way anymore. It's a 90-degree turn. You have to make a major adjustment. Jupiter square Chiron, Jupiter in Cancer, Chiron in Aries, cardinal signs. It's saying it's a new way. It's something new that needs to be brought in. And of course, it's also the old. And Jupiter in Cancer is the love of Mother Earth, like this reminder, like, hey, you guys, what are we fighting for? And this is the energy of the upcoming Mars in Aries coming into square with Jupiter. So Mercury and Mars it came together. And now they're traveling in this journey. The story continues, and Mercury in Aries in square to Jupiter just before that Scorpio full moon. And then now Mars is coming into square with Jupiter. So Mercury square with Jupiter and then conjunction with Chiron just after the full moon. And so that happened on the 2nd of May. So we're kind of in this energy. It's like the Scorpio full moon was so intense because it was about triggering this square, Mercury, and then now Mars taking his turn into the square with Jupiter. So Mercury and Mars in Aries. Aries is life force, the first sign of the zodiac. It holds the whole potential of humanity, but also where we haven't been able to hold on to our life force, where we haven't been able to express that full potential. And it rules freedom and desire, ruled by Mars, the willingness to fight and know what you want, the will force. So Mars has been on a journey, like all of the personal planets, ever since we're going back all the way to October, when we had that first Jupiter square Chiron. That's when this whole story started, with our personal planets having this story play out of coming into the water trine and then conjunctions and lining up in this perfect configuration. And then even when they came out of the lineup of the perfect configuration, they've still been like informing each other, crossing paths at these crucial moments, telling us that this new timeline, this Aquarian age, this new chapter we're moving into is about integrating all these parts of ourselves. And so we really want to pay attention to the story, the way it's playing out, because we're coming to this place that there's a very strange thing happening, because this week we have a culmination of these squares with Mars catching up into his turn into that square with Jupiter. Mars and Aries, the ruler of Aries, the warrior, our umph, our fight, that Aries, like, I'm going to stand up for what's right and good and true. I'm not going to give up on the life force, on the dream, the potential of humanity. And so then in square to Jupiter in Cancer, and Jupiter's just barely getting going again. Jupiter is now, just as of the 2nd of May, made it to 19 degrees. Turned direct at 15 degrees of Cancer, and has just been kind of inching its way. And it's like we got this message that Jupiter direct in Cancer and moving through this next part of Cancer is this activation of the love we haven't been able to find, like cracking open the heart, Mother Earth and our connection, humanity, like, breaking free of the technological matrix prison that's been keeping us from being able to feel the life force of the love that we are. It's like Mother Earth, tsunami of Mother's love. She's coming back online. Mother Earth, she's taking back her energy. And watch out, world. It's a magic carpet ride. And get on, just like Mother Dragon is awakening. And that's this energy of like, like remembering, like waking up from a bad dream, and this kind of stupor that humanity's been in, and like, and then maybe tears. We've had a lot of tears and grief and just going through difficult times, and now the tears of relief and gratitude and feeling the magic again. I was like, oh my gosh, I think so. This is kind of the energy that we're coming to in this very intense bloom this week of these squares. But then we kind of get a break from this intense square energy, which has been just like one after another. We literally have not had a break from intense planetary squares, our personal planets interacting with the planets, the generational, slower moving planets, for these 5 months, 6 months, 5 months. And so it's strange feeling. And it feels like the message that Mother said, okay, the Mercury, Mars, Saturn conjunction, anchoring in to a new timeline landing, and then we have to land. And all these personal planet squares are like the ramifications of that alignment. And so we are facing everywhere how far away we've gotten from the optimal ideal. And that's the most difficult thing that's coming up right now, is this like things can't get better and more aligned without a feeling of grief and regret of how far away we got. And personally, our personal journey, how far we had to get away from mother's love and the collective. But there's a very important, along with this connection back to mother's love, there's this compassion and forgiveness and understanding, and a very strong reminder that, you came here to be that in the world, supernova soul, but you couldn't be that non-judgmental. Compassion is non-judgmental, okay? And if you didn't go to hell and back, if you didn't stray so far away from your true nature as a spiritual being, you would never be able to, show up in compassion in these times for the next level of work that you are here to do. So just keeping that understanding that that is we're learning to figure it by ourselves. Now, part of the deal though is she also wants us, mother, saying, wait a minute, just make sure that you recognize that all these feelings can't come up until things are getting better. Right? So you can't process, you can't stop, you can't look back, you can't have all this intensity of emotion. And there is intense emotion, all different directions, up, down, left, and back, forth, because this is our power coming back online. So we got to let those energies just flow, she says. Don't get stuck in it, let it happen. Just let it, it's almost like, depending on the emotion, but maybe stepping into the fire or stepping into the water, letting it go through you. You're an instrument. You are not solid. You are a plasma electrical being, So it's a whole different way of processing emotions and energies. And so she says, these things that have been suppressed and unaddressed in your field because you have been in this activated nervous system fight or flight, right? We've been kept in this low level, constant anxiety and fear. That's the goal of the technological grid, keeping us prisoners in that kind of energy. And so how do we feel okay? How do we get used to a feeling of peace and unwinding our nervous system? That's what we're working on. And that seems like what this pause is in the astrology. It's just intensity, intensity, intensity. And then it's all right, it's getting time to push the baby out, but you gotta rest during this contraction, okay? Just rest, breathe. And it's almost like we're going back and forth between the kind of PTSD level of stress that we didn't know we were under into a more calm state, and then being wait a minute, is that okay? Can I rewire? That's the big picture. She's saying this is a massive time of rewiring and reworking programming. And it's messy, entangled. And yet the patterns are patterns within patterns. That's why they always come back around, and why we've been reliving loop-de-loop of these patterns. So as you get to the end of the loop-de-loop of the patterns, you're going to maybe go back and forth between the quintessential understanding and the exact opposite, or understanding the other side of what's playing out in the pattern. It's so powerful, and it's intense. It takes a lot of contemplation, it feels like, and emotional time and space for emotional release, expression. We are being called into expressing ourselves. We cannot keep suppressed in our voice, in our message, in our song, in our words. And this is the pressure's on with this, with Uranus and Gemini. And maybe this time that we're in, of this little pause of the intensity, is that adjustment of getting used to a completely different way. And you could call that completely different way Uranus and Gemini. We're getting used to this. And so it's so strange the way the planetary energies play out, because we've got these intense squares this week. Mars square Jupiter. What is in the way of the love coming back? What is the correction that needs to occur for us to receive back this love? Is it repentance? Is it our masculine saying, oh man, I put my energy in the wrong places. I allowed the energy of the resources of Mother Earth's precious, precious gifts to be used in the wrong way. I mean, this is all of us, right? It's our masculine. But it does feel like maybe that's part of the way we're balancing out the patriarchal energies, right? Like it's balancing out. It's got to come back to a better balance. And so everything is saying this because we're just coming off of the energy of Venus in square to the nodes. And so that energy of Venus in square to the nodes went up through the second, and that's kind of like the destiny of the feminine. So we've got this pressure to express our truth that's been repressed, which is connected to our feminine, intuitive, emotional voice. And then we've got our warrior side that's like trying to get with what he's fighting for, or is like so much of what we've been. The last chapter for a lot of supernova souls has been a battle. It's like the battle. It's like this never being able to rest, because there's this feeling of attack and disruption and disturbance and distraction constantly. And so that's kind of where we come back to this whole rewiring and resetting of the nervous system. And it's interesting because we have this little lull where it's almost, we talk about how intense the squares and the oppositions are, but then the trines and the sextiles, they're like this beautiful supportive energy, except for that you cannot feel them behind the squares, like when there's intense squares going on. So it's kind of cool that this little break we're having after this little chapter of intensity is going to bring forward these sextiles and trines and energies of support that have been happening in the backdrop and going to be happening with our personal planets. So let's talk about this intensity we're feeling right now with Mars square Jupiter. Now that's exact on the 5th, and we feel it through the 9th. And so Mars in Aries is like, he's like, wait a minute, I'm aligned. I did the work. Like I came back to Mother, and like, what's the holdup? What's the holdup? And it's like that Jupiter inching forward, but finally at 19 degrees now. That's getting close to 22, or was it, I think it was 23 degrees where Jupiter turned retrograde. So coming out of the retrograde shadow, very crucial moment of completing this. Like, what's the shadow keeping us from opening our heart back up to the love that we are, to feeling ecstatic existence? When I ask this question, I have this literal physical experience, like a blockage, which is interesting because we've just established how much our body is electrical. Our energy field is more real than our physical body. But this matrix energy is like a physical residue, this toxicity in our body. It's very physical. It's affecting our field, but it's physical. And it's like this kind of like clamp. It's kind of like a blockade, that like, no, you can't connect that. You can have in this a little piece of the magic and that piece of the magic, but you don't get to connect these magics. That makes me think of this long-term agenda all the way back in Atlantean time. Very deliberate programming to keep our right and left brain from operating together. And this is interesting because this is the hallmark evidence of these advanced souls, like these crystal children that are being born, is that they can work and they operate in their right and left brain. They can be brilliant artists and intellectual thinkers and bring it together. So this is what's been missing. And so Mars is very, very important because it's like we got lost when our masculine got in so much trouble for being such a bully and a warrior, and then we lost our will force, our ability to direct our energy. And isn't it interesting? Because it feels that at that point, our energy, our technologies literally were able to be misused as directed energy to create catastrophe and weather issues, trauma and drama. So we get rid of the misuse of technology by taking back our will force in our body. I mean, Edgar Casey said this, that there's no stronger force. Yes, those planetary energies, we know. You felt that Scorpio full moon is really getting your butt kicked, but it's like there's, Edgar Casey, the reading said again and again that there is no stronger force. Say the sun is strong, Pluto is strong, forces are influencing us. No stronger influence than the human will. So our astrology, we're not victimized by it. It's a tool. They're parts of ourselves and we're working it out, So I guess that's in a nutshell the shift that we have seen in Mars, coming back into the alignment with being a warrior for Mother Earth. And this is this culmination of this energy of Jupiter, Mars square Jupiter. It's like the warrior beaten down. Like, what am I fighting for? What is this battle about? Like, we have been stuck and trapped, hooked into this battle for so long in our psyche, right and left maybe. And everyone, against each other, all the factions against each other, and us, masculine and feminine, against each other. And it's a humbling to come home and be like, oh man, I've been putting all this energy into a war that is just a waste of time, a waste of resources, And this is kind of what we're coming to in our whole world, because we're moving in to the age of abundance. So we're coming up, the next lunation is going to be the Taurus new moon happening at 25 degrees, 58 minutes, which is 26 degrees basically. So the very end, those last degrees of Taurus. And it's like Uranus was just there. Like Uranus was just activating this, retrograding back to that place and then forward for the last time. It's like, so Uranus is this full moon, this new moon. It's like, did we get the message of Uranus and Taurus? Like, did we figure that out? Because we got to figure that out. It was about owning our wealth. And then we realized that our wealth is energy. It's invisible. Our advanced souls, those who really hold the power in this realm and in the truth of wider truth, is those who hold the energy, can work with energy. So we are the wealthy ones, and yet how do we claim that back? And we are claiming it back for Mother Earth. So when Uranus moved into Taurus in 2018, it was like, okay, the message is that we're heading towards the golden age for humanity, the Aquarian age, that's got this abundance energy. But, the only things holding it back is whether or not humanity feels worthy of that abundance. Because we were taught we were something else, just a lonely spinning planet out there in the Netherlands, this ball all alone. And it's like, oh no, we're in this massive, interconnected, amazing Technicolor dream. And we've been quarantined and blocked and in this lower battle to survive, distracted from the greater potential of these, you could call it different hues and frequencies that have been blocked from us coming back, which is exactly, the activation of our pineal gland, or being able to re-access our pineal gland, our ability to imagine. And this is everything that's getting turned on right now. It's a challenge with all this, with Uranus and Gemini, because Gemini is so activating in the mind, ruled by Mercury. But we're called into a higher way of using the mind. The monkey mind has got to go, right? This is this call of alignment, and focusing our thoughts, bringing our will, our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, our desires, all in alignment, and just hyper focus so that we're not distracted in these crucial moments, this crucial time. And so we're kind of like, okay, Uranus is now in Gemini, but only at 0 degrees. And so we're kind of teetering on the edge of Uranus and Taurus, Uranus and Gemini. What are we still working on? And then, so we're going to feel that through that Taurus new moon that happens on Saturday, May 16th. And so what we have this week is we've got that Mars in Aries, at home, warrior, square Jupiter. What's still in the way? Like, we need to repent more. We need to like get down and have the gratitude, reconnect. Like, what in our life is like just needing, it's that a newness because of the cardinal energy, new change in our life that can bust open our heart to the love that we are, to feel and focus and live in this compassionate love that we know the universe is made out of, but we've been blocked from it. And so this is Mars, like, okay, it's got an energy of standing up for the life we know we deserve, because we've been really, a lot of supernova souls, pretty much all human souls are, authentic human souls, going through a level of targeting with this technology and stuff. And we are kind of maybe owning our energetic wealth, is understanding the power we have over these technologies, that our technology, our organic technology, is more powerful with our will and with our permission and with overcoming the fear, these squares with Pluto, of our own power. So that's the energy, is that Mercury, so Mars is in this like, all right, what is like the final battle, the initiation back to the love that we are. He's like, okay, am I not fully aligned, Mom? Like, things are, I'm ready to move and build and grow. And what's in the way of getting these resources back available with what's in alignment with Mother Earth and the love and the healing? When do we get to move forward in the new way? Because everything says in astrology, it's a new way, completely new way. So that's powerful energy with Mars square Jupiter. And then that's in the cardinal signs in Aries and Cancer. So life force, life, energy versus Mother Earth and the love and nurturing and mother, and like the reawakening. Do we get this awakening on Mother Earth? Is it going to happen? How long can it be held back? It's this frustration again with that coming along with the expression within us, our voice, our message that's been so long suppressed. The pressure's on with Uranus now in Gemini. So the other thing is that Mercury, it just had that conjunction with Chiron on the 2nd. So we're still feeling that through the 4th. But then we feel Mercury come into square with Pluto. So Mercury is moved over today on the 4th into Taurus, and then right into that square with Jupiter in Aquarius. So this is the other thing. Now Mars is going to be making the square to Pluto on at the end of the month. And that's, we're going to get back into the last week of May is another intensity of all of our personal planets and squares again. But we have this strange little gap. And but this week it's like this boom, it's like this bloom, it's like bam, okay, all right, now what? And then we recapitulate, we rest, we kind of reassess where we're at. And so Mercury in in Taurus now, square Pluto in Aquarius. And so Pluto in Aquarius seems to be representing our fear of our own power at this point. Like we see the power we have within us. We understand that it's ours to have and to take back, but can we make the leap? Can we handle it? Is it ours? How do we take it back? We're waiting for somebody to give us permission. And these control forces that stole this from us, they're not going to hand it back. That's the deal. That's this frustration. It's like, wait a minute, we know it's ours. Like, come on. Like, but they're making us fight for it. That's kind of this. And we're like, we're done fighting. Like, we want to get over this duality consciousness war and work with building, use the energy for building, not destroying. And that's exactly the shift that we're at. So Mercury in Taurus is this wealth, the energetic wealth of what Uranus was showing us in Taurus. Mercury saying, we understand this now, but square Pluto, the thing that's still keeping us from claiming it is the fear of our own power and potential. And I'm feeling this with supernova souls. Like, we know we've done so much work to overcome fear programming and authority contracts and whatever's holding us back, but there's a huge, nasty bloom of this just monster type demonic energy that sits at the threshold. But we have a guardian of the threshold, and then we have, the false energies programming. And it's just at it's at the brainstem of humanity. Looks like a spider. It's a program, this AI, and it's sitting right at the brainstem, right at the hypothalamus, where all our messages come in and where we decide whether a situation is dangerous. That's the first thing that happens. So we got this constant stimulation, so no wonder our nervous system has been totally overloaded. And our hypothalamus receiving all of those messages as sensitive souls, and then we're trying to sort through it and figure out whether or not it's a threat or not. And that's the information, this reptilian brain, we communicate with the amygdala, and also then that talks to the pituitary gland and then the pineal gland. And so all these messages are happening, and we've been just like completely overloaded, and it's almost like an AI mechanism of this technology that's at the base of the skull in this confusing the pathways around whether or not we're safe, or we have another catastrophe coming, scarcity, trauma, right? The reptilian brain, it's like this, and it's all just activated. But I don't know, this is powerful. Like, we do this in the intuitive training and the goddess activation, work with to reprogram the glandular system, but it's kind of like to talk to your glandular system and say that this is artificially produced, and that there's pathways that have been congested that reset the fight or flight mechanism that have been disrupted ever since COVID, right? Is this like the long-term mechanism? I'm thinking about this power, taking back our power and our wealth. And our wealth is our energy and our powers, and we have to take it back. And then I'm like realizing that pretty much a pattern all the way back. See, these loop-de-loop patterns starting to unravel from early in this experience and past lives of this kind of constant attack. The genetic program, perhaps, and also past life pattern. But it's like, whoa, all of this forces of technology and power used against us is really ultimately just trying to prevent us from feeling peaceful and connected. And this is what we're claiming back. And the cool thing is, okay, so it's uncertain at first, right? She says it's going to feel weird. It's like, wait a minute, isn't there something I have to worry about? Is there something I have to do? It's like this feeling of like this heightened, level of attention that it's been subconscious. We didn't know, we've been going through this, but now we do have to unravel it. And so she says that we have to get used to and tell our body and go back, we might have to go back and forth, be like, oh, can I rest here? Is it okay? And you can talk directly with her. Sounds like, to establish this. But a really cool thing to kind of talk to your tissues and be like, oh, this was mechanically produced. And I want to tell you that you can relax and unwind now. Like those messages, even if they still might come in, we understand them now. We can separate them out. We can clear up the channels of communication. And it feels really powerful. But I think that's this break in the astrology, because we have this intensity right now. The other thing is that, so Mercury, Mars, and Venus, all in intense situations. I mean, Mars squared Jupiter, because Jupiter wants to expand and Mars wants to go. And they want to work on the same team, but in square, they're challenging each other, And Mars, I mean, maybe it's kind of like this pissed off a little bit of like, you could see it like, well, yes, we want to move forward, but we have to do it in alignment. We have to do it the right way. We can't take shortcuts. We can't compensate, just to feel the energy of moving forward. So we had to recoil and completely rewire our whole lives. And Mars is like, okay, and then Mercury square Pluto, sphere of our own power, and Mercury's coming into this massive understanding, because Mercury conjunct Chiron on the 2nd brought a lot of downloads and information. And so we're still in this, but then it's so interesting that Mercury comes into this, right into that square with Pluto. And it's like, okay, so now you see the wealth. There's no choice but to own it. Nobody else can really use your wealth, and all you've built can't really be taken from you. So what's the holdup? And that's Mercury square Pluto, this kind of Pluto in Aquarius, because Pluto's retrograde in Aquarius that just is starting on the 7th. Okay, so it's interesting that Mercury squares up with Pluto on the 6th, the day before Pluto turns retrograde. And so it's like as far as Pluto's going to make it, and then Mercury square. And Mercury's coming in with his new level of understanding and saying, okay, now we have the final stage of this initiation into the leaders that we are meant to be and want to be, and the full expression of who we are in the Aquarian age. And then at the same time, we've got Venus in Gemini now, and Venus just had this massive activation, but Venus and Uranus came together in Taurus, at the last degree of Taurus, 29 degrees Taurus, just before Venus moved into Gemini, and then Uranus followed a couple days later on the 27th of April into Gemini. Okay, so we're in this holding pattern, and Venus, they met up in Taurus, right? And so it's like, okay, here's the treasures, and now we're going to own our treasures, and now we're going to express our treasures and tell the world about them. And so Venus got this massive Taurus activation, Uranus activation, but in Taurus around wealth. And then now then Venus came into square with the nodes, and we're feeling that just came off. So this female destiny, the voice of the feminine as the destiny of the only thing, moving us forward, what we have to reclaim from the Piscean age with the North Node in Pisces. So that is intense. But now Venus is in opposition with Black Moon Lilith. This happens on the 7th is when it's exact. We start feeling it today, the 4th, and through the 10th at 15 degrees, right in the middle, Black Moon Lilith in Sagittarius, Venus in Gemini. So we've got this opposition, right? Our boys, Mercury and Mars, are duking it out in squares, with the big player planets, and just trying to work out. It's like, gosh, this is just the really nitty gritty of the ego death, in Mars square Jupiter, and Mercury square Pluto, and Venus opposite Black Moon Lilith. But this tells us, so Black Moon Lilith and Sag, Black Moon Lilith is deep, dark secrets, often about the feminine, but in Sagittarius, we're talking about deep, dark secrets, maybe about the feminine, that have to do with our greater quest. And why? And so it's like the secrets that have kept us from getting back on our quest. There's a hold up in this story. And okay, so we're going to own that it's our fear of our own power and our lack of feeling permission for our wealth. But there's another hold up that we know, and this is truth. Like there's so many lies piled up, and they just are crumbling and falling apart, and somebody patches it up over here, and a little time travel, a little it'll try to erase, and it's like, oh, no, we will not be erased. Our history will not be erased. Our technology will not be erased. We and our beautiful soul expression that we have earned over many lifetimes can't erase it. They tried, And this is the Aries energy, Mars and Aries. It's fighting to exist as who you are as an advanced soul rather than just an automaton. And so we're in it to win it, and we're winning. And that's what seems to be the story here. Because Venus in Sag is like, hey, Venus in Gemini is this expression of what has been suppressed, of the feminine voice. Black Moon Lilith, deep dark secrets. So it's like, all right, this is what Mars square Jupiter is about, our life force and coming back to mother. We need this feminine wisdom and to know the truth about the feminine. And Mercury square Pluto, to overcome fear of our own power. We need to understand that these technologies and that we have access to them and that they're safe and they're in alignment with Mother Earth. They're divine feminine technologies and wisdom. So it's a lot of unpacking and uncovering. And it's that same thing. It's like, okay, we're uncovering our treasures and dealing with our power. And at the same time, unraveling these patterns. But recognize, last week we talked about how the Mayan calendar, she had this message, like, remember the Mayan calendar and the way they see time is concentric circles. And so this is also the patterns that are trying to unravel. They're all circled together, right? They just connect back at one place, like a spiral staircase almost. And so as you're unraveling this deep, dark programming in the last hidden nitty gritty, it's like it's almost like, gosh, it's just a really cool picture of like, when you do the flour sack or the dog food bag correctly and you can just pull the string out and it opens right up, you get that right string and you just pull it out. And that's what this is looking like. And maybe, so wow. Because it's like the false programming timeline, which is also genetic distortions, which have been interfering, keeping us closed, keeping us blocked off from our spiritual connection. Wow. So that's really the energy of this astrology, because guess what? This is so intense right now. Like the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, we've got these things happening, but it all comes off on the 8th, 9th. Like it's just this really intense squeeze, like a big finale of this last 5 months of personal planets in an epic journey. Epic pilgrimage back home. And so now we're sorting that out. And so it says Mars has got to get on board, our masculine, absolutely in alignment with Mother. Then we can build, then we can fight, then we can move forward and claim back our life force. But only when we come back into connection with something greater and that great Mother, and feel the life force of the universe, right? It's like the only way we can get our life force back is to have that connection to Mother Earth. It's not through our individual self. We have that. But the technologies we have available in our own body, advanced technologies in our own field, they require a connection and are augmented, and we have the power of them is available to the level that we are connected to Mother Earth. I don't know. So it's just really playing out. But all these energies here and the fear of our own power, and we're just hanging out at the precipice, right? And then Venus opposite Black Moon Lilith, like, ooh, because those deep, dark secrets that are keeping us from on our quest, that's also holding back the magic, like the arrow. In the arrow, that alignment, like the string pulling out, the arrow's about to fly and reconnect us to this greater quest and this bigger vision of what it is we're really doing here. So it's wild because as on the 8th or the 9th, in the next few days, 4 days or so, we've got this kind of falling off the edge of the cliff feeling, like all these squares are resolving and we have a break before we go back into the last week of May, a bunch of intense squares. But we have these kind of little sextiles, like a beautiful blooming of this space to feel the intensity, right? So the next chapter is intensity of conjunctions, coming together, activations, information, informing, and sextiles, and beautiful backdrop sextile between Pluto in Aquarius, Neptune in Aries, Uranus in Gemini. Okay, so that's that kite shape coming into formation again that we felt last year. The kite will happen when our personal planets go through the early degrees of Libra, and they'll make this kite shape, and that will be in the Venus kite will be the middle of August, second week of August, and the Mercury kite will be the second week of September, and then a sun kite the last week of September. So it's like last year we felt this, but it couldn't quite all the way take off. And so it's very exciting. And again, it's saying, all right, it's been excruciatingly painful, and if you want to get to your ideal timeline, you're far away from it. So it means a great correction. So we've got to surrender to this correction. But it's so hard to surrender. Even to feeling better, it's hard to surrender because our nervous system is whacked out. And so, but guess what? It's going to get even more whacked out is the deal. It's weird. We have this moment of calm where it's like Mercury moved into Taurus. And it's like, okay, Sun in Taurus, Venus is, kind of chilling. They're going to get through these transits just in the next couple of days. And everybody's just kind of chilling. And then we start to feel on the 12th, we start to feel the Mercury catching back up to the Sun. Very powerful. And they're going to connect on the 15th of May. But we don't have these other squares going on that are like, distracting, just putting the pressure on, just constant dealing with things in a way. So now it's like giving us space to feel these positive transits. And the other thing we've got is the Sun will be sextile Jupiter on the 11th. Mercury will be sextile Jupiter on the 13th in Taurus. And so it's kind of like this rounded out, connecting to Jupiter and Taurus, Jupiter and Cancer, finally moving. We're going to get back on track. We're getting our life back on track. We're getting our mother back in alignment with Mother Earth. We're getting our Mother Earth back on track. And we also have at that time from on the 19th, it's exact, but we'll be feeling it for almost two whole weeks, from the 12th to the 27th of May, Venus in sextile to Mars. So Venus in Gemini and Mars there in Aries. So that is a sweet connection after all. We were talking about how 5 months of these planets playing it out, like being like, okay, where are we at with each other? What do we have for each other? How can we collaborate, integrate, work together? And so this is a very sweet energy, and it happens exact. They come together. They'll stay close like for those 2 weeks, but the exact sextile is at 0 degrees of into the next signs. And so Venus moving into Cancer and Mars moving into Taurus. So they are straddling those energies, these sextiles, sextile first in male signs, air and fire, and then in water and earth. Isn't that beautiful? It's just this beautiful alchemy. And that everything quiets down for us to feel it, right? It's like, listen to the song. Listen to the sound, to the Om, the heartbeat, the vibration of Mother Earth coming back online, the quieting of the technological frickin' noise. I don't know. And so it's just in this weird place of how, can we relax and trust, or do we have to be ready for the next weirdness, And so really feel into this from starting on, the 10th, after these resolve on the 9th, and we start feeling these sextiles and they're kind of come forward. And then Then we have the big explosion of energy. On the 15th is when Mercury and the Sun come together. They're still in Taurus. Then Mercury moves over into Gemini on the 18th. Mercury comes into conjunction with Uranus on the 18th, that same day. And the Sun moves into Gemini on the 22nd of May and comes into conjunction with Uranus on the 23rd. And so Sun, Mercury, Mercury, Uranus, Sun, Uranus, and a trine with Pluto in there right after. So right after they conjunct with Uranus, this Mercury, and then the Sun, they'll have a trine with Pluto. So it's a strange chapter where we have a conjunctions power, because Mercury, Sun, and Uranus is like, because Venus came together with Uranus, but they were still in Taurus. Okay, so the Mercury, Taurus, Mercury, Uranus, and Sun, Uranus, and Mercury together with the Sun. Mercury and the Sun is always like, okay, this is what the last retrograde cycle was about. This is what we learned. This is our reorientation. This is how we move forward from here. It's a powwow. It's very important. It's a brilliant mind. It's downloads and understandings. And then with Uranus, newly into Gemini. So they come together, and like I said, on the 18th and the 23rd with Uranus, and Uranus will move to 1 degree on the 14th. So will have just moved to 1 degree. That's like, okay, now we're in. So it's almost like, okay, we got this boom alignment, Saturn, Jupiter alignment in February. In April, we've had that Mars, Mercury, Saturn, and Aries alignment. And that's kind of like the anchoring in of this timeline. But like, it's not the newness and the new energy. What are we doing? It hasn't landed. That activation, the higher frequency vibration activation hasn't happened. And it's like weird stillness before the storm. And so we feel that, like I said, from, the 18th Mercury, the Sun on the 23rd. So that period of time from like the 17th to the 24th. And so it's like we've got those sextiles, and that's just like energy, powerful activation. And it won't be until the 18th or 19th. We've got that new moon, the Taurus new moon on the 16th. So Mercury, Sun on the 15th, Taurus new moon at the end degrees of Taurus. How do we own our energetic wealth? Like, how do we really take our treasures back? And then in that massive explosion of Uranus and the Sun and the moon also in there for those conjunctions with Uranus. And then we'll start feeling Mars conjunct Chiron. But it's a conjunction too. It's not a square. We're still in this, so it's like all this building up to that Mars conjunction with Chiron and Aries. And that's where the warrior really is reinstated as that, almost it's like a victory lap for saving Mother Earth is what it feels like. So it's powerful because we don't have any of these squares, and it's just celebration, activation, magical sextile, in the backdrop of Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, all in a line in the sextile formation, the top of the kite. It's coming into form, And so we're feeling those through the end of the year. Let's talk about this, because these are the shapes that come forward. We got Neptune in the middle at the top of the kite will be, and Aries, and sextile to Pluto. And they'll be together exact in June and then again in August. And we feel it all the way from the end of April or March through the end into January of 2027. Sextile between Pluto and Neptune. Pluto and Aquarius, now they're settled in their new signs. That's why it's so powerful. Pluto's in Aquarius, Neptune's in Aries, and it's like boom, And so there's a lot of energy and action to that, of collaboration and working together. Sextiles are creative solutions, And so then the other sextiles with Neptune with Uranus and Gemini, now settled in Gemini. And so that is happens in August exact, but we feel it all the way from the end of April right now through the end of September. And then we look at the trine between Pluto and Aquarius and Uranus and Gemini. That is exact in July, but we feel it all the way from the end of May through the end of January 2027. So, and then they come back together in exact trine in November into December. So it's a magical year. And I know it's been really intense. And so take a breather. Let your nervous system unwind. You might have a lot of emotions because this is what was coming through. She says it's like that stuff has to work itself out from your cellular memory, but it's going to happen fast, right? Like a rapid movement of emotion. So just let it flow. Feel what you feel. Let the tears come. Let the anger come. Writing is really helpful. It's like you need to sit down and reconnect with Mother Earth, reconnect with your guides through writing. It's like this communication of this activation of Gemini and a huge explosion of that. Mercury and the Sun and Uranus together in Gemini is because Uranus is higher frequency vibration. It affects your nervous system. And Gemini is all over the place, air sign. So it's like a major activation of the higher mind. But like frequency vibrations in the body, cellular level, right? So that period of time, again, is like the 14th to the 15th, 14th to the 25th, that kind of intensity of the Sun and Mercury coming together and conjunct Uranus. So it's weird that we have this like stillness and this pause leading up to that. It's like getting shaken out of the nightmare so that we can wake up to the dream. Like Mother loves you so much, SuperNova, because you didn't let go of the dream. This is so powerful. There's some understanding coming, deeply disturbing lengths that the control forces have gone to, and to try to corrupt consciousness. And by programming the memory of water with technology. Like we've talked about how Gaia holds these codes that we may have gotten corrupted. They've tried to corrupt our DNA and our God code, but that Mother has them. That Mother Earth in the highest mountains and the deepest caves, this primary water from deep in the earth, and it's everywhere. It comes up through the springs and, through the ground water. We're just not told about it. This right from deep in the earth, and it yearns, it just comes up to meet the cosmic energies. Those waters that have been untouched by humanity carry the original Gaia codes, this original organic dream, this vision that we carry in our heart too, because we were there when Mother Earth was born at the conception of her dream. We witnessed it, and we're a part of it. We're her children, we're her stewards, we're her warriors. And we stand to take back the energy for her now. And this mission is going to become very clear, I think, as we have Jupiter come out of this retrograde and this Venus opposite Black Moon Lilith, revealing that we are so in love with her. And she is our mission and our purpose. And it clarifies everything. And so to help us align and move forward in these times and receive the activation, part of the energy is that she says, you've been so manipulated. You got to be gentle with yourself. You got to go slow and have compassion and forgiveness, and like know that you've been so manipulated, and you're being asked to come into this radical trust, of the Fool. Like if we're working with the Mother and we're her body, like we don't get to plan or know or like really what's going on. We have the vision, we have the energy, we have the alignment. And that's kind of what she says is it's a tricky and interesting thing of learning to navigate these times, to hold on to that dream and that vision and that alignment with Mother Earth and what's right and good and true, and the stewardship and the caring and life-giving, life-supporting. devotional expression of your creative gifts and skills, all of this. Hold on to that. Don't let go, she says. This is what got us through, because it's like if they're trying to corrupt the waters, they're trying to corrupt the message, they're trying to corrupt and erase. Is this how the resets have been done? And so we have to, and we got this message, like, it's okay if we got so far away, our code got corrupted in our body from this nasty infiltration of technology against our will. But Mother has the codes. Now there's this energy of like, forces are rapidly trying to strip the codes and get us to forget, erase our whole deal. And you can see how these resets have happened. And so now we hold the codes that have awakened in us for Mother Earth through this time. Thank you. It's so beautiful what you've done for your sacrifice. You didn't know. It was just a freaking really hard time. But you've been transmuting. And this is such an important concept that's come forward, that we as supernova souls unconsciously and in other times and lifetimes may have gotten into a habit, and through who we are, transmuting karmic pain for others through miracle healing or whatever, and we are now, there's something going on in a correction of this, that we had to come back again to balance karma in a different way. And so this is the other message that doesn't make any sense, but maybe you guys can help me figure it out. It always comes through and it's like, what is that about? But she says, be open to immediate karma, the play of immediate karma, okay? Because it's got an action energy to it. That when we started this evolution, we went through all this stuff, but then you have to then go through sometimes lifetimes before you can clear what happened before. And then we know we're in an acceleration where this lifetime we're finally catching up with all the stuff that we haven't cleared, right? We're getting the nitty gritty, we're clearing all the karma. So to recognize and receive your gifts is this balancing of karma. And the effect of this is that forces and energies of your life just be okay in the trust that this flow of energy, what comes with the flow of energy returning, is this more immediate karma. We're not waiting for lifetimes for things to work out. And what's happening is that there's an immediate adjustment. You can know right away if something in your alignment is off. You're going to know right away. You just don't, there's not a possibility to create. But also the energies towards you, of something desired from you or trying to hurt you, or any kind of harm or interaction or stealing your energy or any of that stuff that we've been dealing with so much. But she says, just go ahead and be open and to the flow. It's a different way of karmic work, and it's like an immediate, right? It's not lifetimes and years later. It's like, oh, right now I don't want to do that, And that goes for us, but mostly she's demonstrating it with the energy that's been, if you feel like you've been harassed or harmed, or you've been, just in this kind of time of being targeted, that open to you're incarnating your bigger self that we're talking about, landing home as who you really are, is actually landing home as Mother's authority, because you're a part of her, she's a part of you. You know this. We're all a part of her body. But when you know you're a part of her body and you're consciously working with her, this is what unleashes our technological power and our love and our potential and everything, So we are being invited to reestablish this connection and communication with her. And going back to her message, I didn't finish it. The first part is hold on to the dream, to the tenets, to the codes, to what right? The original dream, it's an energy, it's a picture, it's got basic energy, but it can be filled in many myriad of forms, so it's not specific. But hold on to it, she says. And then she says, let go of any personal or idea or understanding of how that happens. And that's the formula. hold on to the dream and let go of the details, and so that this dynamic energy can begin to work in our lives. Because if there's going to be a flow of immediate karma, it's not instant karma, it's immediate, meaning there's a processing. And then we're also going to have an immediate downloading of our gifts too, and reconnection. So it's such a powerful time right now. And I'm so glad that we know each other. And I think that we want to just really, really stay focused on allowing our nervous system reset and relax, that these loop-de-loops can loop, but it's like coming to this place where they're all connected. And it's almost like that one clamp of the spider energy, you know, that we can erase from humanity's brainstem, like the technological control over our ability to regulate our own emotions and consciousness. And but that we can, in this rewiring, it's reworking of those loop-de-loop patterns, and it's like a really delicate process. It's almost like this picture of this knot, you know, a spider web, and if you pull too hard on one, it's going to create some imbalance in another area. So you gotta go real gentle with the unfolding of this stuff, you know. And it's like it's mixed messages and crossed wires, and so it's delicate, it's sensitive, and there's a lot of emotions that can come and go. And but the energy is just about moving the energy again and in our lives. And so it's a massive time of activation. And so enjoy the rest. Couple more days of like, but it's like showing you. This is just so showing you finally the clarity that you need to move forward, you know. And then a recapitulation. Like, you can't move forward with it being, you know, still recovering from the injury of the battlefield. Okay, we have to be realistic about this. And it's so beautiful. Astrology is like, oh, okay, we'll your time's up. You know, you made it through that, the bell rung on that round, right? Now you can get a little rest, maybe till the next fight. But of course, that's going to be after these intense squares and revealings, but the downloads. And then we have to allow ourselves, through our will, to unwind and relax and unprogram, unwind, and so that we can receive that Mercury, Sun, Uranus conjunction in Gemini, this energetic upgrade download. Like, it's like, ooh, it might be the thing that like just kind of opens up the pathways again, you know, to our light, our love, our pineal gland. It just feels like it's like, all right, shing, you know, coming back online. And so incredibly powerful to be a witness of this. And so I hope, just take care of yourself, be gentle, rest, and let yourself adjust, because we're in this massive time of shifting and it's changing so fast. So don't get attached to any one thing. And know that the energy that came forward around this week of astrology is the crux of it. So we're getting to the crux of it. It's getting to the understandings, getting to the crossroads, getting to that place of no return. And we have got to completely abandon our own old way. And that's exactly the energy of this conjunction coming up. It's like the new way. You know, are you ready? Okay, here we go. So what a powerful time to be alive. And thank you so much for your support. And I hope you feel that my desire and my dedication and research presence every day for you supernovas and for us and for Mother Earth. And so thank you so much for your support, being a part of the Soul Tribe, coming to those activations. Reach out for a session. This is all the information. It's all here as this offering, free offering, ad-free space for everyone. And then it's a special thing to work individually, a special gift for the whole tribe, the information that can come through for if there's those that are brave, ready, and can afford it, can come. It's just such a gift. So reach out for a session. The classes, being a part of the classes, owning your energetic field, goddess activation. Thank you so much for your support. I have links to donate in the information box below, but it is very much appreciated, your support through these interesting times. And I hope that you feel the support on all levels coming back into your life, this reconnection to our guidance, that opening back up of the truth in our hearts of who we are and our true potential. No one, you could try to hide it, try to erase it, but it can't really actually go anywhere. It can't be destroyed. But all of the mechanisms and the structures of the false control structures can be destroyed with the flick of a switch, actually. Interesting situation that we're at, especially with this vibrational activation of Uranus and Gemini. Very powerful. So make space in your life to receive this peace and ensuing activation. And let me know how it goes. And so thank you so much for your support, for being here. And we'll have that look out for that full moon Taurus new moon activation Saturday, May 16th. So I look forward to seeing you then. I hope you can join us. And energetically, thank you so much for being here and for being present with these concepts, going through all you've gone through, to be this warrior that Mother Earth needs of us right now, to fiercely remember who we are, to fight, and not let go of that soul memory, at the same time claiming that deep connected peace. And the energy coming back around, that Mars square Jupiter, Mercury square Pluto, our right to live the life that we deserve. Yes, we're here to learn and grow. And then you get to take the spoils of the work that you've done. And that's just, they've kind of all built up. And there's been zero holding accountable of the forces that have caused so much harm. And we can't go into a more balanced, peaceful, loving world until we have those things. The wealth returned from what was stolen, and this accountability for the actions that went against Mother and our dream. And so hold on to that dream, she says. Don't let go. And yet be flexible like the Fool in the details and allow it to unfold in the way that it wants to unfold, holding to that alignment with, because that's where we got off. We got off because we were misdirected and misaligned. We were manipulated and distracted. And so now it's like, no, then we know the stronger you do and you hold with this energy of Mother Earth's laws and rules and your place in her heart, it's clearer and clearer what is in alignment with that and what isn't. And so we take this blessing of clarity that's coming with Mercury making it back to the sun this month, and this massive activation of higher frequency vibrations, awakening us to who we really are, our higher power. No time to be scared at this point. And so very powerful time, and it's an honor to know you and be here with you. So I look forward to connecting with you soon, and thank you so much for your energetic support, financial support, and being a part of the Soul Tribe, being with us. We've got an amazing future. So thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, I'm Elise. Namaste.